May. Black eyes and wispy whiskers. One sunny afternoon, Shirley leaned out the third-story window of PS8, slapping the chalk from the class erasers. It made her cough, but she didn't mind. Doing chores was one way of thanking Mrs. Rappaport for giving her extra help after school. The good deed and the height made her feel superior to the boys and girls playing stickball in the yard. All that effort just to hit and catch a silly little ball. All that hurrying just to step on a book bag. One thing for sure, she told herself, even if the entire team fell upon their knees and knocked their heads at her feet in 3 reverent kowtows, she would refuse to join them. Grandmother had the right attitude. The first and last time she went to see the cousins play the foreign game of basketball, the matriarch had been horrified. How uncivilized! How shameful! Children of Chungking's most honored clans fighting like thieves over a ball. Take me to the principal. With all that we pay, it is a disgrace that the school does not supply each student with a ball of his own to bounce. Shirley, Mrs. Rappaport called, waving a paper. Another perfect score. This time not in arithmetic, but in spelling. I am proud of you. Shirley blushed. She could not get used to the American custom of receiving compliments with a simple thank you. It seemed so impolite. But the Chinese way only confused people. Ever since father had returned the compliment of the widow downstairs, by insisting his wife was not in the least lovely, and in truth was only an old rag, the widow had stopped greeting him. Now she lay in wait to regale mother with her own misfortunes at the hands of unappreciative men. Poor mother, to avoid the woman, she had to tiptoe down the hall like a mouse trying to escape the hungriest of cats. Escape was the only route for Shirley, too, so she quickly put away the erasers and ran for the door. Outside, she decided to cross the schoolyard like an emperor. It was time the others stepped aside for the Chinese. But then, not looking to the right or left, she did see the runner steal home base. They kited and fell. The catcher tagged the runner, shouting victory. Who the blank do you think you are, you blankety blank? Words Shirley had never heard before came spewing out. Words she was sure would never appear on Mrs. Rappaport's English list. This was big trouble. By the time Shirley and the angry one had gotten to their feet, all the other players had fled the scene. Shirley stood her ground, but it took all her courage not to run, too. Mabel was a formidable sight. She was the tallest and the strongest and the scariest girl in all of the 5th grade. You blank, why don't you blankety blank? Shirley replied with a similar suggestion in Chinese. Mabel did not hesitate a moment. She threw back her fist and punched Shirley square in the eye. It hurt terribly, but not enough to make Shirley stupid. To trade punches with Mabel would be to box lightning, a most unequal match. So she borrowed a few more choice words from sayings coined by rickshaw pullers to insult riders who gave no tips. Mabel was not intimidated. So you want more, you blankety blank. A second blow, this time in the other eye. Shirley considered fleeing, but emperors do not flee, and had a teacher not stepped through the school door exactly at that moment, one puny Chinese surely would have died right there and crossed over the Yellow Springs to greet her ancestors. But he did. As he started toward them, Mabel ran off in one direction, Shirley in another, as fast as she could go. Safely home, but with 2 black eyes, Shirley looked at the door. When Mother opened it, she screamed. What happened? Nothing. Nothing? Nothing important. She tried to slip into the bathroom. Oh, no, you don't. Tell me exactly what happened. Shirley bit her lips, but said not a word. Then you just sit right there until your father comes home. He will find out what this nothing is all about. Mother disappeared into the kitchen. She only returned when father opened the door. He did not scream, but he asked very sternly, What happened? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing important. Mother tugged at his sleeve. You must make her tell us everything. I shall. But an hour later, nothing was still nothing. To tell would be to tattle, and Shirley refused to tattle even on that giant of a no friend of hers. Finally, Father stood up and announced that they were all going out. Where to, my husband? To the police station. Shirley could barely breathe. She had never spoken to an American policeman before, not even to ask directions. What would they do to her? Lock her up? Refuse her water? Maybe even pull her fingernails out? Walking slowly behind her parents, she reconsidered her stand. What had she done so wrong? Nothing but walk and say a few words in Chinese. It was Mabel who should be going to the police station. Mabel was. Out of the corner of one battered eye, Shirley spotted the enemy stalking them. The look on her face was far from friendly, and Shirley did not need a lesson in reading faces to interpret its meaning. Squeal, your skin will peel. Tattle, your bones will rattle. Shirley caught up fast to her parents, then shuffled silently off to prison. Just as they were about to enter, Father said, "This is your last chance to tell us what happened." What should she do? On all sides there was trouble. Mother stood to her right, Father to her left. Behind her, Mabel sat on a garbage can, watching her every move. In front of her, the monster of a building with iron bars. Shirley opened her mouth, then quickly thought better of speaking and just shook her head. No matter how long the sentence, on the day of her release, Mabel, as surely as tigers devour, would still be around to get revenge if Shirley Temple Wong dropped even the tiniest hint of what had happened that afternoon. When the Wongs finally stepped inside the police station, Shirley gave thanks to the goddess Kuan Yin, for there would be no nosy crowd to witness her trial. The station was empty, except for a friendly policeman at the desk, who smiled and scratched his head throughout Father's explanation. After a few feeble attempts to interrogate her, he handed her a lollipop and sent the family home. It was dark now, and Mabel was nowhere to be seen. Shirley refused to go to school for the next 2 days. Her mother thought it was because her eyes were almost swollen shut. Not so. Not so. Shirley needed the time for Mabel to realize that the Chinese had not squealed, and therefore her skin and bones deserved to stay intact. The third morning, it rained. As Shirley opened her umbrella, she saw Mabel standing across the street underneath a tree, getting soaked. Oh no, the war was not over. Shirley started to run, but the tallest and the strongest and the scariest girl in all of the 5th grade was also the fastest and easily caught up. Shirley quaked. "Hey, you okay?" Mabel's voice actually seemed rather friendly. The rainwater dripping down her black face looked like tears. Could it be that Mabel was there to make peace? Shirley stepped back and replied uncertainly, "Okay, okay." "That's swell." Mabel clapped her hands and did something fancy with her feet. "Hey, okay if I walk with you to school?" Shirley nodded and hoisted the umbrella to cover Mabel's head. When school was over, the skies had cleared and the walks were dry. Only the leaves, shined to a tender green, gave a clue to the shower that had passed over Brooklyn. That afternoon, Mrs. Rappaport had a teachers' meeting, so she dismissed Shirley with the rest of the class. Shirley had reached the top of the stairs when suddenly, from nowhere, Mabel appeared. "Hey, you want to play stickball?" Shirley turned to see whom the girl was asking. No one else was around. "Me?" "Yeah, you. How about—" Shaking her head, Shirley smiled and started down the steps. Mabel, riding on the handrail, whizzed by and blocked her progress on the first landing. "Why not?" "Dumb hands. No can catch." Shirley slipped past and continued on, only to find the way blocked again on the second landing. "Nothing to it. I'll show you." Shirley shook her head again. "On, it's fun." "Yes, fun, but nobody take me on team." "Leave that to me." Shirley still hesitated. But Mabel was hardly the patient sort, and pulled her by the sleeves into the schoolyard. When the others saw her coming, they groaned. "What you want to bring the midget for?" "Oh, no, you don't. Not on my team." "Are you kidding me?" "Yeah, she'd bow first and then ask permission to cop a fly." "Send her back to the laundry." "The only way she can get in this game is to lie down and be the plate." Shirley was ready to leave quietly, but Mabel hissed through her teeth. "Who says my friend Shirley here can't play?" Advancing with mighty shoves, she pushed each objector aside. "You spaghetti snot! You kosher creep! You damp drawers! You brown blubber! You dog breath! You Puerto Rican coconut!" Mabel was most persuasive, for everyone named now twitched a shoulder to signal okay. "That's what I thought, and as captain I get first pick, and Shirley's it." When the sides were chosen, Mabel pointed to a spot by the iron fence. "Shirley, you play right field. If a ball comes your way, catch it and throw it to me. I'll take care of the rest." "Where you be?" "I'm the pitcher." "Picture?" "Ah, forget it. Look for me. I'll be around." Resisting the temptation to bow, Shirley headed for her spot. Mabel's picture was something to see. First, high the ball, she gave the stick the evil eye. Then, twisting her torso and jiggling a leg, she whirled her arm around in a most impressive fashion, probably a ritual to shoo away any unfriendly spirits, before speeding the ball furiously into the hands of squatting Joseph. Once in a great while the stick got a lucky hit, but the goddess Kuan Yin was again merciful and sent the ball nowhere near the fence. After the change of sides, Mabel stood Shirley in place and told her she would be first to hit. Shirley would have preferred to study the problem some more, but was afraid to protest and lose face for her captain. Sitting tall, with her feet together, stick on her shoulder, she waited bravely. Dog Breath had a ritual of his own to perform, but then suddenly the ball was coming her way. Her eyes squeezed shut. "Ball one!" shouted the umpire. "Good eye!" shouted Mabel. Shirley sighed and started to leave, but was told to stay put. Again the ball came. Again her eyes shut. "Ball two!" "Good eye!" shouted the team. "Two more of those and you're on." Shirley grinned. How easy it was. Sure enough, every time she shut her eyes, the ball went astray. "Take your base," said the umpire. Mabel came running over. "Stand on that red book bag until someone hits the ball, then run like mad to touch the blue one. Got it?" "I got." Mabel then picked up the stick and with one try sent the ball flying. In no time, Shirley, despite her pigeon toes, had dashed to the blue book bag. But something was wrong. Mabel was chasing her. "Go! Get going! Run!" Shirley puzzled over which bag to run to next, took a chance and sped off. But Mabel was still chasing her. "Go home! Go home!" Oh no, she had done the wrong thing. Now even her new friend was angry. "Go home!" her teammates shouted. "Go home!" She was starting off the field when she saw Joseph waving, "Here! Over here!" And off she went for the green one. Just before she reached it, she stumbled, knocking over the opponent who stood in her way. He dropped the ball, and Shirley fell on top of the bag like a piece of ripe bean curd. Her teammates shouted with happiness. Some helped her up, others patted her back. Then they took up Mabel's chant. "Hey, hey, you're just great! Jackie Robinson crossed the plate! Hey, hey, you're a dream! Jackie Robinson's on our team!" Mabel's team won. The score was 10-2, and though the Chinese rookie never got on base again, or caught even one ball, Shirley was confident that the next time she could. And yes, of course, naturally, stickball was now her favorite game. On Saturday, Mabel taught her how to throw, overhand, how to catch with her fingers, how to stand, feet 2 shoes apart, how to bat on the level. Sunday, Mabel showed her how to propel herself on one skate at a time, then pulled her about on both until Shirley had learned how to go up and down the street without a fall. Until that day, Shirley had never really understood something her grandfather had told her many times. Things are not what they seem, he had said. Good can be bad, bad can be good. Sadness can be happiness, joy, sorrow. Remember always the tale of Wispy Whiskers, who did not cry when his beautiful stallion ran away. All his neighbors, though, were certain that it was a sign from heaven of his ill fortune. Later, when the stallion returned leading a herd of wild horses, he did not boast of his newfound wealth. This time his neighbors were equally certain that it was a sign from heaven of his good fortune. Later still, when his son broke his leg taming one of the mares, the wise man did not despair. Not even when behind his back all his neighbors spread the terrible rumor that anyone with even one droplet of Wispy Whisker's blood was forever cursed by the gods. And in the end, only his son lived. For the sons of all the inconstant neighbors, being sound of body, were forced into military service, and one by one perished in a futile battle for a greedy emperor. How wise grandfather was, Shirley thought. Only he could have foreseen how two black eyes would earn her the lasting friendship of the tallest and the strongest and the fastest girl in all of the 5th grade.